USA, USA,
USA,
USA,
USA,
USA.
USA.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tavern.
What
I was
up?
crunching numbers. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
Should have been doing
All
that
right.
pre-show, but I wasn't paying attention to the time. So thank you for the countdown there. That was good.
Yeah.
So what do you do with a live show? So how's everybody doing today?
Hurricane prep.
That's it. Dave, I don't have to worry about that as much anymore.
No,
you don't.
Pretty sure if a hurricane hits here, it's pretty much down to a tropical storm, if that.
Tornado?
That's what
maybe.
Tornado? Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
all
all
Just
about
a
that.
big gust of wind.
That it?
So, crazy times. How was your guys' weekend?
Yeah. Super busy.
Yeah.
We won a soccer game.
Big. Yeah.
And I played golf. I played golf, and for those people that haven't seen it yet, you should go over to our YouTube page and watch our new halfway house. And last week we talked about halfway houses. And I played a golf course that we've all played multiple times in Panther Lake at Orange County National. And they finally opened the halfway house at Panther Lake.
That was just basically a starter house and bathrooms before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a hot dog stand, just hot dogs.
No beverages?
Oh, there's beverages.
Okay.
But
hot dogs are better than nothing.
It's like you can get a Chicago dog or a Polish dog. You get some brat, but yeah, no, that's what you got there now.
Well, and before, to be honest, if you were out on Panther Lake, you had nothing if the cart girl wasn't out there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like you're out there and you're away from the clubhouse. So,
and they did sell the idea of a Chicago dog, and Ush was with me, and there were no pickles.
Well, I'll get a Chicago dog for you this weekend. I'll be in Chicago this weekend.
Okay, sounds good. So,
might be at a Cubs game. So,
but if you haven't checked out our first episode of the Halfway House, go and check it out on YouTube.
Yes, definitely go check it out on YouTube. By the way, Dave, have you seen the score of the Phillies game?
Yes, I have.
Sorry, I've just got to.
I saw it was a really good score, and then Taijuan Walker came in and gave up 84 runs. I would trade him for a bag of Skittles and a 6-pack of Yingling and still think we fleeced the other team.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter now. My Yankees need to win, and they're down 1-0 to the Orioles. So,
yeah, hey, I've got to. I got to give a quick comment from Instagram here. Next show is Sober October. What y'all gonna do? From Nate Leach.
We don't recognize Sober October.
I make wine for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just making it out there.
I do like the comment, though.
You look like a Christmas ornament. You look like a Christmas ornament tonight.
It does. I kind of dig the green.
Well, great. I saw when I came on and I was sitting. You guys had the blue and the gray on. I kind of just had to pick a different color.
That's perfect. Thank you to American Fit for providing us our outfits for our podcast. We appreciate that. All right, let's get into first round. I mean, so we're already talking about this, and this is what our show is going to be about tonight, is about the President's Cup and about where the President's Cup is, what we're going to see next week, and what we expect from the President's Cup. So,
by next week, you mean Thursday?
No, that's true.
It's
Thursday.
2 days from now.
A few days from now.
Yes.
This weekend. I'm
on top of the ball.
There you go. So
first time for everything.
Hey.
It was too easy, Dave. I mean, really set that one up.
I mean,
what I'm here
this
for.
is the 15th iteration of the President's Cup. It feels like there's been a lot more. Just because I feel the Ryder Cup has had 44. This is younger than the Ryder Cup. A little bit
Yes.
difference to that. Was changed over the years. The Ryder Cup evolved to being not just like Great Britain and Ireland and to all of Europe, where this is the counterpart to that of us versus the rest of the world. So, but hasn't been a fair fight.
12-1-1.
No, coming in, 12-1-1. So yeah, it's
So
with
I'm
a
gonna
9-match win streak.
So I'm going to ask you this. So it doesn't seem like a fair fight right now, obviously. Do you know what the first 14 Ryder Cups, what our record was?
Like 14-0.
No, 11-3.
12-2.
11-3.
11-3, not far off of what this
Yeah.
was. I mean, we are 6-1-12 in the last few. So we're kind of going the opposite
But
direction.
I think
Turn around.
what differentiates the President's Cup, other than being an international format, is they don't play. Yes, they play the same style, but they don't play it the same way. This is spread out over the course of 4 days. Where on Thursday it's just they're playing one round of 4-ball, and Friday they're playing foursomes, and that's it. They're only going out for 18 each day, where you're not backing up and going 36 on 2 days in a row.
You know what? There's part of me, and let's just be realistic about that. It was for TV. And when you look at what we've accomplished in doing that, I actually don't mind it. I think that there's I think it keeps the players fresher. And I also think that you run this, you can play one extra match, which is what they do each day on Thursday and Friday, where you play 5 matches. So there's 2 more points available. You're getting to 30, so you've got to win 15.5 in order to win the cup. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it started out being
it
closer
keeps
to
everybody
Ryder.
fresher, and you're not saving yourself. Oh, yeah, maybe I need to hit a 6-iron here rather than go hard on a 7. No, you can just go after it all day, every day, rather than trying to save yourself for an afternoon match.
Well, they do afternoon matches on day 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the difference here. Is it's the Ryder Cup is 3 days, where this is 4 days, and you just basically took the first 2 days and split them into 2. That's what you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it helps with TV. I think it helps with strategy, like you're saying there, and I kind of like this a little bit more. But the Ryder Cup has that history, and I think I like it that it's different at the same time, though. I like that the Ryder Cup is one way and the President's Cup is a different way. So, but
there have been, and I know you were throwing some stats out there. This is the second time the event's been at Royal Montreal. First time was in 2007. In 2007 was maybe the most famous Smack of the Week contender when Boo Weekly fell in the pond after hitting a shot.
Yeah.
And also 2007 is where this year's international captain took down Tiger Woods in match play. And one of maybe the greatest match play matches of all time.
Yeah, that was a pretty good match, and you have that history that's there. Can I just say I miss kind of Boo Weekly on tour? I feel he was that.
He's on the Champions Tour, and you got to love the dude. At one point, he rented a U-Haul truck to get from event to event because they were out of cars. And so he just rented a U-Haul and just threw stuff in a U-Haul and just drove.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's like that American.
Iowa, too. Like, I think it was to Iowa.
It was.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Would have been great if he stopped. But,
over the course of this, when you talk about we're 12-1-1.
Hey, Ollie.
Hey,
you want to talk to people? Say hi. You say hi to everyone out there right now. All right, buddy, go back and sit over there, okay?
The U.S. has won 220 matches. The international team has won
Are they not on there?
173, and the European, and they've halved 59 matches.
Oh, right here.
I mean, that's pretty good. When you think about that, it's as lopsided as it is. Still not bad.
It's competitive,
right?
Yeah. You know, you're not seeing anybody really walking away, 5-2, 4-3. A lot of matches are coming down to 16-17. Throughout the course of the day, nobody's really walking away on 13 and being like, okay, we're done for the day.
Right.
Yeah, it's been close. The U.S. has just come out on top. I mean, the one time we tied, so we retained that in that 1 year. But for the most part,
the tie was maybe the greatest President's Cup of all time. That was the one at Fancourt, where that was the Tiger Woods Ernie Els playoff that went 3 holes of maybe the greatest head-to-head mano-a-mano golf of all time. And they finally decided, hey, we're going to end this in a tie and call it a day. And again, who else? I mean, you can't get 2 better golfers at that point that were on the top of the world and were unbelievable. And if you go back, if anybody wants to go back and just YouTube that after they watch one of our shows, including the Halfway House, it is what it is. Yeah. So, go back and Google Tiger Woods Ernie Els President's Cup playoff.
So, no, I mean that's the good thing. This event has been historic, has put up good matches. It's been dominated from the win-loss column by the United States, and I hope that continues. But you're gonna see the international team get stronger. They're gonna do different things. They're gonna do what Europe did to us eventually, and work on their game, work on making their team better and their dynamic better. I don't understand how we've been struggling so much over these years in the Ryder Cup.
Let's go there because I have it written down at the bottom of my page. Why is the U.S. so dominant in the President's Cup but not in the Ryder Cup? Let's round the table. Dave, you go first.
I think it goes back to, just the way that the event is set up, with the 2-2-1 format over the course of it. And I just think some of our pairings over the last couple of years haven't been the strongest of pairings together, where they're not like we all said, like Lucas Glover probably should have made the Ryder Cup team last year. He was the hot hand going in. But they went with some experience rather instead, and people that were cold. I think they need to continue to play golf going up to, a Ryder Cup event and get over there, especially, across the pond, getting over there and playing in those tournaments. I think Royal Montreal is a little bit different. It's kind of like the weather and courses right around here. So it's not, too much of a different advantage as saying going and playing St. Andrews. And I think that European weather has a lot to do with it. And I just think sometimes that the hot hand hasn't been chosen, for the Ryder Cup. Same could be said about this year's President's Cup. We talked about our picks here on the show, and then he just went straight down the list and picked, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and really didn't look, too far outside the box on some of the other picks right there.
So for me, I think it comes down to passion. I think it comes down to, in the Ryder Cup, Team Europe takes that seriously. Like, they play for what I would expect U.S. pride and what we blast all over the world as, like, oh, we're so proud in our nation and all this stuff, but we don't show it when we go out there and play in the Ryder Cup. We show that we're competitive. We show that we have fights, but comparing the Ryder Cup team and the international team, the Ryder Cup is more historic, and they take that so seriously and have such pride in that they unify as a team, and that's why they beat us lately. Whereas I don't think the international team does that. I don't think they unify as an international team. They come together as a team, but they don't have that same unity that the European Ryder Cup team has had over these past few years, and that's what's made them tough to beat. So even when we beat them on our own soil, it's still not a dominant win on our own soil, where we got beat last year. Like, it was embarrassing what happened last year. And I don't see that from the international team. That's why I think we always have a chance on the international team, because statistically, we have the better golfers in the world. We do. That's just facts. But it's when you're playing this team event, it's a different mindset, and Europe knows how to tap into that right now. That's where I think the difference comes in.
Fair. I honestly think it comes down to pressure. And I think it comes down to the pressure of, we're 12-1-1 in the President's Cup. What do we have to worry about? We go to the Ryder Cup. We've been the redheaded stepchild in the Ryder Cup. And I think they're trying so hard. And I do think there are changes that need to be made. Again, we have one player, and I'm going to be intrigued to see this week the play, in that we only had one player from this week's team play last week in Napa, and everybody else took the week off and hasn't played since the Tour Championship.
I thought 2 played.
Who else? Tagala played.
I thought there was another one, but I could be wrong on that one.
I thought it was only Tagala, but I think the last year we took over a month off and then tried to play the Ryder Cup, and I think it was a huge mistake. And I think that there is I understand that these guys are independent contractors, and I understand that they can pick and choose what they want to do. But I also think that if we want to have the best players and we want them to be fresh, I mean, think about it. At this point, the PGA Tour season has ended. That international squad would all have been at Wentworth this past weekend, playing at Wentworth in what is the Players' Championship on the European Tour. The BMW PGA for the DP World Tour is their Players' Championship. It's their flagship event.
So, Steve, with that, I think we get into happy hour, and let's talk about these teams.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Let's
want to be here, right? Okay.
So that's the perfect point to get into this. Is Dave, you mentioned it's picking the hot hands at the time. We talked about 1, 2, and 3, or like 6, 7, 8, 9, like picking those in a row, not really going with who we thought was the hot hand, who picks that we made. Steve talking about like that. What is their mentality going into this? They're not, the ones that we do pick, they're not playing because they don't really need to play right now. Because to my point, there's not that passion behind wanting to win and have that stuff. Like I said, when you watch the European team, they played in preparation for the Ryder Cup last year. They got prepared for it. We did not. So, let's look at these teams and think, what are we seeing? What are we predicting from this weekend? Who do we think is going to win? And then we're going to get more into this a little bit later on, is what happens, or if the U.S. doesn't win, or if they do win, what does that look like for this event or for the mentality of Team USA? So you got on one side our Ryder Cup captain, Keegan. You got Sam Burns, Patrick Cantley, Wyndham Clark, Tony Finau, Brian Harmon, Russell Henley, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, and Sahith Theegala. Dave, that's also how you pronounce names correctly really quickly. So now I'll let you pronounce the other side, Dave.
That's 2 shots fired at Dave tonight. Wow.
Sorry, Dave, I couldn't do. I was like, I ran through those and I ran them off really good, so I couldn't.
Dave, I'm gonna ask. Would you like me to take this one for you? Since I have them listed here in front of me.
I have the list in front of me as well too.
And Greg, I noticed you took all the American names and didn't leave him with the international squad. That was pretty impressive. Also,
when I'm going to pick a fight, I'm going to lean it towards my favor there. That's really what it was. So
Okay, the international squad: Sung J M, Hideki Matsuyama, Adam Scott, Tom Kim, Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim, Christian Bezadenhout, Mackenzie Hughes, Jason Day, Minwoo Lee, Taylor Pendrith, and Ben On. I'm not going to try and pronounce Ben's full name. It's Ben On.
Bezenhout was the one I was going to be like, maybe.
That had debauchery written all over it if Dave had to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I think when I look at this team, and if you go back to our episode a few weeks ago where we talked about the captain's picks, there's a lot of players on this team that still scare me. They really do from the American standpoint. In that when you look at their international appearance records, they're not good. They're not.
Here's the thing. It's Greg's probably gonna get this, reference. It's Canada. It's like a loft apartment over a really great party. They're not going across the pond. They're not playing. Yes, Canada's international. It's like driving to Nebraska. You're not going that far away.
You can drive through Canada and get back to the United States by just going the same direction, not like turning around.
Yeah. It's an international match without being an international match.
I had figured you were going to say it's like breaking into Wisconsin, which would have been a great movie reference.
Yeah, well.
Stripes? Anyone?
But yeah, no, I got you.
Nobody goes to
If
Nebraska.
it was Italy, I'd be on
You're
the
in
bottom.
Iowa. You don't go to Nebraska.
I look at, and again, you have to take Scotty Scheffler's record kind of with a grain of salt when he's 0-3-1 in President's Cup play, because 2 years ago, Scotty Scheffler wasn't the player he is today. He was actually a captain's pick on the President's Cup team 2 years ago. But when you look down the list at Sam Burns, who's 0-3-2, you have Sahith, who doesn't have a record. You have Brian Harman, doesn't have a record. And you have Russell Henley, who doesn't have a record at all. Never been there. Wyndham Clark also has never played in one of these.
Here's the thing. That's the old guard. The old guard is almost
right
out
on, Dave.
Now. What's that?
I said I'm agreeing with you. Right on. That is spot on. That this is a new generation that we're trying to put in here. And what I don't like, and to your point, Steve, is the ones that do have the experience don't have the best record. Right. So that's where it's tough. You're not having people that are in there, but also the ones that do have better records in this style of play, to be honest, haven't been playing well right now, and that's what got us caught up, I think, in the Ryder Cup. So I like this kind of change of mentality for this, because it's really two different things, but this is really Ryder Cup prep. This is like your conference championship going into the Sweet Six or the March Madness. Like, this is prepping you for what the big one is the Ryder Cup. And I hate saying that. And we're going to talk on one of our halfway houses, so I'm going to plug that, about how we would improve the President's Cup. But the team, I feel, is that like, hey, let's get these people some experience. Let's see what this is like. Let's see what they are. Keegan, as the captain, is on this team, so he's going to get to have that familiarity with some of these people, and I think that's a good thing here. So, win or lose, they need to learn from this, and that's get that experience.
Scotty Scheffler, the receding hairline, he may look like the oldest person on the team, but Keegan's nickname should be Grandpa. On this. I think far and away he is the oldest player on the U.S. side for this, with the experience playing. But you look at
Harman's got to be close. Harman and Henley are close.
Yeah, but you kind of I think Keegan for this as the still a vice captain for this and captain for the Ryder Cup. He's kind of got to be in the ear and like, okay, how are we going to pair this together for, Thursday's matches? How are we going to pair Friday's matches? And he's not only looking at that for a President's Cup win, but how is he going to look at it for how do these people play together? You throw, Xander and Patrick out there. Okay, fine. they're pretty much, that's the new JT and Jordan grouping right there. So, outside of that, you kind of started looking, and it's just like, does Thagala play with Tony Finau? Does who plays with Scotty? And I think that's, where Keegan's got to have his, ear to the grindstone. They're trying to figure out all these things out, not only as the vice captain for this, as playing, but as a
Ollie, don't touch this.
Ryder Cup captain as well.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you look at the old guard and where we had a lot of, it was Mickelson, Tiger, all these people that are past their prime for these kind of events. Then the next generation of that was JT and Jordan, who aren't really playing that well right now. And then you have the generation that, to be honest, and I'm going to go here with this. This is not our topic for tonight. Is well, that's also true.
That's also true.
But the way that the live players, and we're not really talking about that tonight, but they're part of this when you think about it, because they're not in this right now. So they're not eligible for this. That changes how you have to think about this, and this is what you're left with. So it's good. I mean, I'm not discrediting that, because I think it's not a lot of live players. I think there's 3 live players that I think I would consider for this team. And I think
both sides,
players that are
both
here,
sides, probably
exactly
sides.
Both sides. I think
Both
there's
sides.
3 that would make this interesting, and it would balance each other out there. But I don't think it would change the dynamic in the end of this. So I'm leaning more towards, I like these players getting this experience for this, because it can help down the road for Ryder Cups and future Presidents Cups.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think from a pairings perspective, we're going to see Scotty and Sam together. Let's be real. That pairing is going to happen. We're going to see Xander and Patrick together.
Yep.
I'd almost
and Max Homa.
Probably. That actually doesn't sound like a bad pairing. Although the one that I
think Keegan plays with Scotty on day 2.
No.
I don't think Keegan plays with Scotty at all, because that's not. I would rather see Keegan play with someone he wants to see how they play. You know what Scotty's like. You know what you're getting with Scotty.
You know who I want to see Keegan play with, because they both hit it a mile, and I think it'd be fun to watch. I'd like to see Keegan play with 2 guys. One of them is Sahith and Finau.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that, and
I want to see Finau and Sahith play together. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. I wrote this down. I think that's the pairing.
I wrote this down as a question I wanted to ask. I have my pick, and I'll say it first. Thursday, first tee, which will be much more attended than Friday at the Solheim Cup first tee. Sorry, I had to say that.
Don't beat a dead horse.
Yeah, no. The question to you, and I'll say who I'm sending out first. Who are you sending out first to hit the first tee shot if you're the Americans? And I'm sending Keegan Bradley to do it.
I agree. That was going to be my pick.
Yeah.
I'm sending Keegan to hype up that crowd.
I'm sending Keegan out first and saying, go get it, buddy. Here you go.
Yep.
Let's go. The only other person I think that I would remotely consider, and I mean remotely, no, is Scotty.
So do you put Keegan with Morikawa then on day 1?
See, no, I would put Finau as my second choice, because I think Finau can get people going.
There was an interesting, correct. If he can make 3 putts during that round, they win ugly. And I'm going to say that 3 putts is all he needs to make. I think that the idea that you send out, Dave, I need you to find a prop bet for me too, for last call. Odds on Cantley wearing a hat this week.
I haven't seen the bet yet. I knew where you were going. It hasn't even been there.
There was an interesting, I don't know if you guys have seen it, and There's an interesting conversation that took place. Tony Finau just did playing with, and it's been all over TikTok, playing with Grant Horvath. And they were out playing and they were talking, and he asked him about, I don't know if it was the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup. And I think it was the Ryder Cup. And he was talking about, the idea that he went out first, and he was paired with Brooks, and Brooks looked at him and said, "You're hitting the first shot." They were first group out, and it was in France, so it had to be the Ryder Cup. And he looked at him and he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're going first." And Finau looked at him and was like, "Okay." And Finau said, he goes, "I was fine until it got real quiet and they said my name." And they introduced us. And he said, and I got up and hit a 290-yard 3-iron. I almost ran out of real estate. When Brooks said to me, "You're hitting it first." So he goes, "I was so pumped up and had so much adrenaline that I just smoked one." And he goes, and I literally couldn't feel my hands.
That's what I like about Finau and Keegan, is because Finau was on the big break. So he's been on, like, he gets that television. He's on TV all the time here, but like other PGA events aren't as hyped up as these, because these are rowdy crowds. This is like the Waste Management, almost in a sense of like on 16. People are there. They're excited. They're excited for the teams. And I think Finau can feed off that adrenaline. And like he did. I think that was a great pick by Brooks to tell him, "You go first," because I don't think Brooks is going to feed off that the same way. I think Finau is going to feed off it and nuke something out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I
think Brooks is just going to get up and be Brooks.
Exactly.
Brooks is going to get up and hit a shot and be like, "All right, cool. It is what it is," and not show you any emotion. I think Finau is that guy that I also wouldn't mind seeing hit the first shot, because if he's going to hit it, he's going to turn around and pump the crowd up, raise the roof, do something to get the crowd into it.
I'm going to make a change to my who should go first, but there's an addendum to my change. If Scotty Scheffler gets arrested before his tee time, because when he came out at the PGA, that was a different Scotty Scheffler that came out at the PGA and jarred one. Like, if we get arrested, Scotty Scheffler on the first tee.
Yeah, but now we got
Canadians
international laws, and
Canadians are too nice.
Speak French, and
team buses for this event. They don't. There's team buses for this event, so they're not driving.
Pull over and pull him off the bus.
Right? Yeah. I think that you have the idea that you have Scotty there, and I honestly think you send Scotty out second and just get it over and done with. And you send Keegan out first, you send Scotty out second, and you just go. And you tell them to put their heads down and let's just get this done right away. Let's win. Let's 3.5, 4 points after day one, and let's put the foot down and go. Dave, can you, along with the prop bet of Patrick Cantley wearing a hat, we need one on the chances of Scotty Scheffler getting arrested.
I think they have a prop bet on that one.
On websites that do real bets and things like that aren't walking into a Vegas casino that have every single prop bet. You don't see those.
No, but I mean, it's a valid question. I mean, what's the bet on Scotty Scheffler getting arrested? When I look at the international team, and I do want to make sure we talk about them. Yep. You have the stalwart in Adam Scott, his 10th President's Cup. 18,
Adam
25,
Scott, your Jason Day are your veterans out there.
Hideki's actually got more. Hideki's got just as much play as Jason Day does too.
I was going to say Hideki's my third on that veteran status out there. Those three are your player leaders.
Okay, let's ask this question because it's one of the Canadians you're sending out first, right? You're on Thursday. You're not sending anybody else out first. You're not sending Adam Scott out to hit the first shot. Which one of the Canadians is hitting the first shot on Thursday?
Mackenzie.
I think it's him or Corey.
Yeah. I like Mackenzie.
Yeah, I like Mackenzie.
I think
Funny part
Mackenzie's a
is
good pick there.
he's the only Canadian that doesn't have any experience.
But I think that adrenaline, once
Yeah.
again, like with Finau, that could go with Mackenzie, and I think that could be a good thing for them. And to be honest, it would be fun to watch. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be a fun thing in Canada. Like, I like that it's in Canada this year for two reasons. One, to Dave's point, Team USA does not have to travel that far. The international team actually has to travel more. Well, a lot of them live over here anyway, so it's not really that much more.
You know why I like it? We don't have to watch golf at 12:30 in the morning like we did the Ryder Cup last year.
That is also true. It's not. And we already had to go through that with the Olympics this year, so
yeah,
it's nice to kind of have it on this time zone.
You know, I stayed up and watched the first night. I stayed up all night and pulled an all-nighter, which I hadn't done since college, to watch the first night of the Ryder Cup, and that was the most disappointing night of my life ever.
Yeah, that was tough last year.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping this is fun, like the Canadian Open.
Steve, you are divorced, so it can't really be the most disappointing night of your life.
Wow. This is the fire that Team USA needs. This kind of aggression that we have had on this show tonight is what needs to be here. Wow. Just dropping them. Jeez.
Sorry, that was too easy.
We're all Dave, kudos for that, because you have gotten it from him throughout the years, but that was a blow.
Wow.
It's a haymaker right there. But so with that, we've talked about the team here. Who's going to go out first on both sides in this? So I'm going to ask you both, and I'll start with you, Dave. Well, no, Dave, I'll end with you from an odd standpoint. But Steve, what's your prediction of what's going to happen? Who's going to win, and how close is it going to be?
Let's make that last call.
Okay.
Going to last call. Just, you know what? I have a Smack of the Week. I just need to download it. Hold on. I have it. It's in my. Let's go to Smack of the Week, and then we'll go into that.
All right. So think about that. Think about what you think and where it's going to go. And then, Steve, tell me when you're ready.
Think.
Now, go. Hit it.
Team USA, I'm just saying. It'll help.
Need some mindset. Funny enough, there'll be an international player playing that.
Yeah, Jason Day.
We've done some dumb stuff on a golf course.
Yes.
We have.
Are you just going to say that and then play it? I think you just say that and play it. Those are power.
We've never done that. We've never done this.
Oh, this is good. I saw this.
Oh!
Are you okay, Paul?
Like his ankle, like that's taking, like hitting you. We've all hit our ankle with a club or like, and it just stings. Like that's 1,000 times worse. My ankle hurts right now.
1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse.
Oh. Guys being dumb.
Let's go. Dave, you have the odds ready?
I do.
Let's go out.
Haven't had odds with Dave in a few weeks. So this is good.
We haven't.
No.
I was going to say that.
It's been missed. The people demanded it this week.
People did demand.
Giving the people what they want. Overall tournament lines. Ty is getting the best action right now at 12-1.
Okay.
So
12-1 on a tie, huh?
A tie. We can go day right now. Player points. Player X to win 5 points is the the going rate right now for anybody to get 5 total points.
No one's doing it.
No.
Scotty is your best at 12-1 to come up with. Yeah.
Shocking.
Not happening, but yes. I would have. That's where I thought you were going to go with that.
Yeah. Your correct score on day one, USA 3-2, is getting you 3.5. The big odds there, international taking a 5-0 sweep is 75-1 on day one.
Wow.
What's international
Without
going
even
4-1?
Day winner, international. Oh, correct score 4-1.
4-1 international.
12-1.
Okay. Because that's actually what I think.
USA going 4-1 is 5-1. USA overall top point scorer, of course, is going to be Scotty. All the way down to Russell Henley at 28-1. So
I feel in this like it's always the person you least expect to win that many points is going to be the one that wins the most points.
I'm still going to say my dark horse for the week is a guy who didn't play well after the Masters this year, but has played great in team competitions for Team USA, and is Max Homa.
Nope.
I want to see Homa do well. I want to see Homa turn it around because he hasn't been playing well.
And I feel like this could be good for him.
Max Homa is 11-1 to be the top point scorer. He's 2.5-1 to be the top captain's pick scorer.
Okay.
Keegan is 7.5-1 to be the top captain's pick scorer.
He's the hot
25
hand.
to 1.
Funny enough, he's the hottest hand right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm also looking at this to our point before, the hot hand versus all this time off since their last play.
So shameless plug, Jason Day, Bridgestone Mindset, 11-1 to be the top point international scorer.
Okay.
Is that the best odds?
No.
For the international. Hideki?
I was going to say Hideki would probably be the best
Nope.
pick for best odds. Really?
Sungjae Im.
Oh, no, that
5-1.
makes sense too. Okay.
Hideki is 6.5. Adam Scott 7. Tom Kim 7. Connors 8. Siwoo 8.5. Christian at 10. Mackenzie at 11. Jason at 11. Minwoo at 12. Taylor and Bionon at 14.
Right on.
All right. Well,
I noticed you skipped Christian's last name.
Yes, I did.
all right. Let's get into last call. So now that we've put all this information together, we've talked about the history, we've talked about the team and what we think. We've talked about odds with Dave. Steve, who do you got? How do you think this week's going to unfold?
I think it's US 1812. I think it's US 1812. But I'm going to say this. I honestly think it would be really good for the President's Cup and for a lot of things going on in the world of golf right now to see the international squad win.
I don't know for the world of golf, but I do think that could be an interesting. Dave, what are you thinking?
I think it might be a little bit closer here. I was taking, right along the lines of, 16.5, 13.5 USA on that. I think it's to be a little bit closer. Overall, I think some of our pairings, just like the Ryder Cup, could struggle to get it done, especially in foursomes. which is where we usually tend to have the biggest fallout because, again, it comes down to the golf ball, and you're playing the same golf ball. And we saw it, I remember years ago with Phil. Phil wanted to play his Callaway ball, and he was paired up with somebody else that was playing a Titleist. And one of those two players threw a hissy fit and won. And that pairing did not do so well. So, you got to look at those foursomes and who gets to play what and, how that's all going to play out. And I think that's sometimes we've struggled in that, whereas internationally, I don't think they've had the same problem. So I think that's why overall the score is going to be a little bit closer. I still think USA comes out on top, but I think it's more along the line 16.5, 13.5.
I kind of agree with you, Dave. I think it's going to be 16-14. I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. I think that they're going to come out strong. I think that they might shock us on day one. I think that's going to be another hit to us, and I'm hoping we can bounce back from that. And I think if we bounce back from that, it's 16-14. But if we get shocked on day one and what happened at the Ryder Cup happens again kind of here, it's going to be tough for us to dig ourselves out of that hole. So I don't think we're going to win by a lot. If we win, I think that it'll be a good thing for us if we get shocked up front and can make that comeback, because I think that's kind of a good to see from Keegan's standpoint. I think that's good experience for these teams to learn to play as a team, because that's what day 1, day 2, and day 3 is teams. That's what it is. It's not until you get to day 4 that you're playing by yourself. So you have to learn in foursomes versus 4-ball. It's 2 different formats, and you have to think through all of your shots on how you're out there. So that's what we need to learn to do better, is that portion, because that's where we have struggles. Yeah. When it gets to the final day, both Ryder Cup and here, we can show up and we can have a chance. But it's day 2 and day 3 are going to be the days that are really going to make or break the United States on here. So that's
I'll make the pick right now. And Brian Harman sits in foursomes on day 2.
Okay, I can see that.
Because he's lefty, you don't. It just the shot shape and everything else doesn't fit with everybody else. I think Harman sits on day 2. I think international
4-ball. It's 4-ball on day 2. So
no, 4-ball is day 1. Is it foursomes day 1?
Foursomes day 1, 4-ball day 2.
No, session 1 is 4-ball. Session 1 is 4-ball. I'm looking at the schedule right now.
No, that
changed it up. Because that's not what it was last year.
I'm looking at CBS. They did make some changes to it this year, so it is
international squad gets the pick.
Yeah, international squad gets the pick. So yes, so it's 4-ball on day 1, which is why I think the U.S. can jump out early on day 1. It's day 2. I think the international comes back and plays better in foursomes.
It'll be interesting to see.
And then day 3 goes. Day 3, 4-ball, and then foursomes in the afternoon.
Okay. Well, it's going to be fun.
It is a change, but that was the international pick on that.
It's their home turf; they get to make it up. So
they get to make it up. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. These events, I love these events. I love the Ryder Cup. I love this. I wish there was more, but I also like that it is back and forth each year with this. But like I said, watch our Halfway House. The show is already out there. The Halfway House is our new shorter show, not live. Check us out on our YouTube channel. You'll see it there. Special thanks to American Fit, Bridgestone Mindsets for everything that they do for us. Also, a shout out to our boy Lee at Wedge FX. You have now tied your brother on hole-in-ones. So
here's my question: Did being Lee now has a hole-in-one, and we may have to post this one out. Does he get his card back from Duff?
He does not. He does not. He actually told me he told me he was mad because Duff wasn't with him, so he couldn't take his card.
Yeah, because he would have taken Duff's card at that time, and Duff would have had to get a new card. That's how their rules work. So he missed out and timed his hole-in-one, but I don't think he really cares about that much. So
no.
But with that, cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. Team USA, let's go.
on the halfway house later on
We got
this
the halfway
week.
house. See ya.
Peace.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, I have an opportunity to build something that's
It has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits for $728